right, good morning. I'm Mike Brightman with Brightman Designs. We offer design, drafting, visualization, and workflow training services. And today, we're also the creators of Condoc tools. And today's webinar is focused on a better way to design with the Condoc tools. So think of it this way. As a designer, you need to create drawings. And those drawings are to communicate your designs, sell your designs to the client, communicate to the contractors as to where to put things, how to build it. So we can all agree that we need these drawings, and there's several ways to get there. So you could draw with pencil and trace, you could draw with pen and vellum, but it's pretty antiquated, you know. So we've made this jump then from manual drafting, hand drafting to 2D CAD. Now 2D CAD being a digital format, it does afford us a lot of efficiencies with blocks and XREFs. Basically a digital drafting table, but that was really hot 30 years ago. And so we've made another jump into 3D. And it's been my observation that the options that are presented are far too complicated. Oftentimes there's these really heavy, over-featured BIM solutions that ask way too many questions along the way and just get in the way of design. So what I'm going to show you today is a better way to design, and that's using SketchUp, Layout, and Condoc. And I'm going to show you that this system that we've developed falls far past the functionality and the efficiencies of CAD, so it's way better than that, but it falls short of all the extra questions and all the features that you don't need. It falls short of the complexities of BIM. So basically with SketchUp, Layout, and Condoc, you can craft your own software solution, customize it exactly what you need. It's cheaper, faster, more efficient, and it's fun. So let me show you how. We're going to jump in here, and today we're going to build a bathroom from the ground up. I'm going to move fast and just kind of coach you through this, and then we'll take a break at the end and take a look at the chat panel and get some questions there. But stick with me. It's going to be cool. Let's get to it. So first things first, in Layout, I'm going to start a new document. So I'll go to, I hit Control N, or you can hit File New, and I'm going to pick a letter landscape document. Now, this is kind of introducing some of our new expanded scrapbooks in Layout. So, let's see, we've got a frozen. Okay, there we go. So we're missing a dialogue. Okay, so we're going to start a new 8.5 by 11 document. Now we're going to unlock there. And this is a blank template. So what I'm getting at here is that we have some expanded annotations, expanded scrapbook collection. And I'm going to show you how you can use these guys, all right? So this was really a big deficiency or missing link in the workflow. And we're going to use this new scale drawings functionality to draft in Layout before we get going. So you can see here in my Condoc annotations, I've got my walls, and I'll click and drop a 4.5-inch wall. You can see I've created 4.5, 6.5, 8-inch walls. And now when I click on this, you can see that it's a 1/4-inch scale drawing. Now, this has got to be the easiest drafting program I've ever used. I can just stretch this and then type in 9 feet, enter. This is now a 9-foot wall in Layout. I can make a copy of this wall down, and then maybe I'll move it by 6 feet, enter. So you can see how quick and easy it is without using, I mean, just imagine like in 2D CAD, all the line, all the layers and the colors you'd have to have and the pen settings. This is such an easy way to draft. So I've really fallen in love with this as a new piece of my workflow where I sketch things out in 2D first, and then we're going to bring it into SketchUp. All right. So let's keep going here. So like, you know, now I want to put a door in right here, and we're going to put a window in here, and then tub, toilet. So let's do this. I'm going to stretch this piece down, and then I'm going to type in 3, enter. I'm sorry, 3 inches, enter. And now that makes this chunk exactly 3 inches. I can make a copy of it and then move it again, and we're going to call this 32 inches, enter. And then I can stretch this piece up like that. And check it out. If I use my dimension tool, you can see that this piece right here is going to be 32 inches. Well, let's see, we just kind of missed that mark here. Let me do this again. So we'll just scoot this up like that, and then stretch it, I'll say 32 inches, enter. And then I can even like invert it like that. So now let's try that again, and then we'll move on. So go like this. So you can see my tolerances are just a little heavy, so we're coming in one short. All right, we'll leave that alone for now. So there's my 32-inch opening. And let's see, then we're gonna drop in our doors and windows. So here I can go in my condoc annotations under building elements, I can grab a 32-inch door, and then I can rotate that around like this, and then I can right click on it, and let's see, we can flip it top to bottom and then set that into place like that. And then we can go over here in our windows. So we have like a 36-inch window, and I'll drop that in, use my select tool, and the select tool is like your move, rotate, copy, like basically every tool in layout is the select tool. Drop that into place. So we're looking pretty good. We've got a roughly 6 foot by 9 foot bathroom. We've got our door, we've got our window. And then I'll tell you what I do need is like a kind of a bump out plumbing wall here. So I'm gonna double click into my walls. This is a scale drawing. So now I can hold control, make a copy. I'll just say 12 inches, enter. And then scoot this. And as I scale this and finish my scaling command, I can type in 3 feet, enter. So the length of this is exactly 3 feet. And then, you know, I've just kind of like stretched these things around and snapped to the different walls. I gotta tell you that drafting in layout has become super easy using this scaled drawing command. And with the condoc annotations, we've already set up those scaled drawings for you. So you just drop the walls in, you drop your window in, you can see that all of these are at 1/4 inch. It's super easy just to switch the scale around. Everything is very, very editable and configurable. All right, so we've got our base plan, and let's keep scooting through these condoc annotations. So we've got tables, we've got seating, beds, and then we've got our kitchen, bath, and utilities. So here we have a tub, so I can drop that in and rotate that by 90 and then drop it into place. And then we've also got our toilet, so we can drop that into place, and we have a lav. So go like that, drop the vanity into place, rotate it by 90, and then, you know, I might even double click into this scale drawing and make this a little bit bigger. So I'll hold Alt to scale about the center point, and then I'm gonna type in 15 inches, enter. Enter, there we go. So now that's like a 30-inch vanity that sits in here. So, you know, just like that, you can sketch out your 2D plan. What I found is really handy with this is if you have your like existing conditions drawings and you're using your Sharpies and trace, you get to a point like right before this where you have an idea, and then I take that sketch and then I draft it, because when I really draft it, it becomes real with the dimensions. I can start to really think, is this gonna work? Now, once I land on something that works, I can use this new Export CAD for SketchUp feature. This allows me to kick this layout drawing out of layout, import it into SketchUp, and then we're gonna start building from there. So let's get to that, all right? So first things first, it's always smart to save this. I'll go with my desktop temp folder, and I'm just gonna call this bathroom sketch. You can see I've been ran through this once. We'll overwrite that. And then I'm gonna go to File, Export, DWG. Now for this one, again, I'm gonna go with, I'm gonna delete these guys out of here like that. And so we're gonna export a bathroom.dwg. I'll click save. And then you can see we get some options here. So we have like AutoCAD 2018, that's fine. All pages, there's only one page to export. And we're going to ignore the fills, and it seems like a good idea to export as native CAD entities. And this is the important one, export for SketchUp. So I'm gonna kick this one out, okay? And then we're gonna hop over into SketchUp, all right? So this screen here is the beginning. This is like the welcome to SketchUp screen. Now, what's really, really slick about condoc is it doesn't matter which template you start with, all right? I'm just gonna grab any of these templates, and what we've done with Condoc 4 primarily, is we've buried the template in the drawing set. So this way, when you get into SketchUp, you can either start with any template, doesn't matter, or you can open up any old project. And when you open it up, it's easy to make that project adhere to your standards. So I'm going to click on this open a new Condoc drawing set, and we'll click that. And then you can see that we have all these different drawing sets. Now, Condoc 4.5, we updated it to work perfectly with SketchUp 2019. So you can see that we have this Condoc 4 Interiors SketchUp 2019. What we're doing is we're really leveraging all of the new features in 19. So we've got these beautiful vector dashed lines that we've rebuilt all of our styles. Everything works perfectly with 2019. So we're going to start with Interiors 2019 and hit Open. And then I'm going to go to Extensions, Condoc System. All right. Now the Condoc System, I cannot live without. Watch what this does. When I look at my layers panel and I look at my styles and like what's in my model. So like this is all of the styles in this model. This is all of our layers. And when I just click Design, look what it does. It just loads this with all of my layers. It flips all of the styles back to what they should be, and then I can get rid of our character here, so we're good. So like, you just don't need a template anymore. You just push a button and you can take any project and adhere it to your standards. So now we have all of the layers that we need for an interior design project. Now I'm telling you, I've thought this through over and over and over for over 10 years on which layers do you need, how to put these things together. And after all of this, we've come up with this Condoc system and this automation. So don't hesitate to tweak this layers list. You know, you can add different layers to it. So as an interior designer, if you need like an appliances layer, or if you need different, separate out your plumbing fixtures from your bath fixtures from your kitchen fixtures, you can do all of that. You can make this system your own. It's completely configurable using our Condoc configurator. Got tutorials on that, not what we're covering today, but what we're gonna stick with today is our default SketchUp interiors drawing set. So let's import that drawing. I'm gonna go to File and choose Import. Whenever you are importing, make sure that you check in the bottom right corner under your files of type. You want to set these to AutoCAD files. All right. And then as far as options go, I pretty much just check all of these on and leave them alone. Truth is, I'm going to have to scale this anyway. So I'll say, okay, that looks good. We're going to import this bathroom.dwg and click on import, and we're good to go. All right. Now, in order to scale this drawing, what we want to do, we need to make sure, like, do a reality check. Like when I measure this from here to here, see, it's like 1/8 of an inch. That's no good. That's not what we want. All right. So we need to make this 4.5 inches. These walls are all 4.5 inches. All right. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to explode this drawing and explode it again. And I'm just going to get rid of all this extra stuff that I don't need. Normally I would discourage exploding drawings, but I am very confident that this one, we don't need to XREF this in. We're not concerned about maintaining the linkage. If you were working with different CAD files in different scenarios, I'd tell you not to explode. But in this one, we're good to go. I'm going to make sure that this is a group, and I'm going to just use my tape measure tool, and I'm going to measure one of these walls. So for instance, from here to here. And you might have caught that. Well, let's do it again. From here to here is 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm going to type in 4.5 inches, enter. Now this asks me, do you want to resize the model? I'll say yes. And then let's do a zoom extents, and let's measure this again. From here to here is 4.5 inches. We're in good shape. Cool. Let me just check my dimension over here, and we're at 32 inches. Perfect. All right. So now what we're going to do is start to model this up, but one other step on importing a background drawing. Now, a background, a CAD background, a sketch background, if you have like as-built field measurements, anything that you're going to model off of is a background, and that should be that should have the background layer assigned to it, and also we can lock it. So that kind of keeps it from being shifted out of place or deleted on accident. So let's get to that. So you can see here that I do have my background drawing is selected, And so I can look at my entity info dialog. In here, I can click on this drop down and we can go to background. So this CAD drawing is imported. It's all contained within one group. And if I go to my background layer and turn off the visibility, you can see that now my background drawing is controlled by my background layer. We're in good shape. The other thing I can do is right click on that background and choose lock. Now what that means is if I go to my eraser tool, I cannot accidentally erase that, and it's also not possible for me to move this around. So this way, this background drawing is protected. All right, so now let's get to modeling. So I'm going to use my rectangle tool, and I'll just draw a rectangle here, and I will pull this straight up by, let's say, 8'6", enter, like that. All right, so this is 8'6" up on the walls. Now, I got to tell you that a common misconception is that it's easier to extrude your walls vertically, whereas I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to show you, it's much better to extrude your walls horizontally. And what we're going to do is we're going to tap Control, and that's Option on the Mac, and that's going to leave a copy of the starting face behind. So this way, as we go along, we can turn the corners, we can leave all the verticals that we need for our door and window openings. All right, so I'm going to be using the push-pull tool, and I'm going to be tapping Control to leave a copy of the starting face behind. Let me show you what that's all about. All right, so I'll zoom in here. I'll click once to start, move my cursor, tap Control, and see how it left that edge going straight up, and then I can snap to this point. This means that I can easily turn the corner. All right, so let's just keep doing this, and I'm going to kind of navigate to that view that's strategic for what I'm working on. And the hotspot of that push-pull tool is the tip of the red arrow. I'll click there, start another one, tap Control, that's Option on the Mac. All right, and so here we go. Now I can really start flying through this thing to make this all this 3D geometry come to life, like that. And we'll even bring in this plumbing wall here so that you can leave all those vertical faces wherever you need them, like that. And let's just pull this one across like that, and like that. All right, so check it out. Here's what we've got. We've got all these extra edges all around here, and we've got our opening set up. So now I can go and select, let's do our door opening. I'll use my Move tool, tap Control to make a copy, and copy this straight up by 7'6". All right, then I'm going to go to my push-pull tool, and I'm going to push this door opening back through here. Let's see, like this, and we should be good there. Okay, let's clear that out. Perfect. All right, and then let's make another copy. Now, here's another tip. As I copy this straight up on the blue, I tap that up arrow key to constrain the blue axis. And then, you know, there's a common tendency to keep your cursor over here. But if I move my cursor all the way over to this point and click, I can snap to that distance. You can see now we're at 7'6". All right, and then maybe I'll just make a copy of this straight down by, say, 4 feet, like that. And then use my push-pull tool and push that guy back through like that. All right, so now we're in good shape. We've got all of these, all of our walls, and we have all of our openings. Now, we do need to clean up this geometry a bit. And so I would go around with my eraser tool. You know, this guy turned itself inside out. Sometimes that does happen. Pretty easy, just right click and reverse that face. Not critical, but I just like to keep things super clean. All right, so normally I would go through and start erasing all of these edges. So let's just get a little bit of this cleaned up. And let's see, I think I goofed on my little edge there. So let me undo that, double check this. All right, like that. And let's just use a reheal command, and if that doesn't do what I want it to do right now, I kind of goofed up my geometry there. I know what I did. All right, let's try this. I'm going to do a quick rebuild on this guy here. So let me delete that, And I know what I did. I didn't snap to the right part in layout, and then that layout drawing translated to a goofed up CAD drawing, which translates to this. So I was moving fast, and that's my mistake, but let's fix it. All right, I'm gonna show you how to fix this. So like, you know, those pieces weren't closing. All right, so let's just try this again. I'm gonna come to this point, this point, this point, and I'm not gonna snap to that edge. I'm gonna hit 32, enter, and then we're gonna snap to this other edge that I need, and snap to this edge, and then pull this one over. All right, so let's try this. Now we're in good shape. So yeah, that's what happens when you move fast. All right, you gotta slow down, make it correct. Let's do this. All right, we're back in good shape, like that. All right, I've got something going on here, so let me see. Do this. I've got something off axis here. Try this one other way. Like this. And all right. We're gonna leave that alone because it's all good. It'll still do what I need it to do for Kondak. Okay. So we've got all of our walls set up here, and I'm gonna run a script, delete coplanar edges, and see if we can just clean this thing up in one shot. All right. So that script called delete coplanar edges, it does the broad strokes for you, kind of gets rid of all that extra geometry that was in there. So now we've got our walls all set up, so we're in good shape. Now, I gotta tell you that when you are building your models, you want to group early and group often. So if you don't group, it's really hard to fix these models. It's hard to like backtrack that and get your walls separate from your floors, but it's super easy to just go nuts on grouping. So group early and group often. I'm gonna start by grouping my walls. So using my select tool, I'll triple click and then right click and choose make group. So there we go. We're in good shape. We've got our group in place, and now we can use, let's see, maybe we'll use like our rectangle tool and kind of draw in our roof over here like that. And then I'll use my select tool, right click, make group. All right, so now we've got our ceiling, and you know, I could turn off my background for just a moment and let's draw in our floor. So maybe I'll do kind of a similar routine there like that. And for this one, you know, maybe I'll get the door opening in there as well. Double click, right click, make group. All right. So this way, everything is set up as a group. This floor, I might just right click and reverse the face. I always like to have the front surface facing me. All right. So we're in good shape. We got some of the stuff in place. I'm gonna right click and hide my ceiling for now. So remember though, we're just grouping collections of geometry. We have not actually assigned any layers. SketchUp doesn't know that these are walls or floors or ceilings, but we're getting there. Let's get to our component library, all right? And in the 3D warehouse, if I type in Kondak 4, and then we have this Kondak 4 collection, all right? And this has like a lot of really everything that you need, all the main pieces. These model organization guides. Let me just take a brief moment. I'm not covering the model organization guides today, but these things are they're magic. They allow you to, it's the complete model organization all bundled up into one package that you can drop into your model. So if you think that you're gonna struggle a little bit with grouping and layering, we've already done all of that for you. All right, so that's what the model organization guides are all about. And we have one for the architect drawing set and one for interiors. But there are some really good tutorials on how to use those, pretty straightforward. But for this one, we wanted to model it from scratch and just kind of explain all the systems. All right, so let's just click once on our condoc door. All right, so I'll click on the door, and then I can drop that condoc door in there. Now, if I rotate this, or let's rotate by 180 degrees like that, and then I'm going to scale it and hold Control, and I'll go by oh, whatever, that's fine. I'm just going to put it into place. Notice what's happening here though is as I move this thing around, see, and I scale it, see how it distorts, right? So if I snap to this opening, it distorts my 2D graphic, but when I click, it rebuilds itself. So this condoc door can be stretched and snapped to all the different openings in your model, and it will rebuild all of your door symbols very quickly. All right. We also have the condoc window. All right, so I'll click in here to drop that. I'll rotate this guy by, say, 90 degrees, and then I'm going to move this into place as well. Using my scale tool, same thing. See how it distorts? But if you snap it to the opening, it'll rebuild itself like that. So again, that condoc window can be snapped to all your different openings and any different sizes, and as you stretch it and reconfigure it, it rebuilds this 2D graphic. All right. Now, if you're not familiar with the idea of a 2D graphic versus a 3D object, this is definitely outlined very clearly in my book, some good diagrams, and actually the diagram looks just like this. So the idea is that there's no way to take a section plane and just cut through your model and having the resulting section cut show a door and a swing. It just doesn't work like that. So we have a 3D representation of the door, and that's going to show up in our elevations, sections, perspectives. And then we have a 2D representation of that door that shows up in plan. But we need to have these on two separate layers. So you can see that we have a 3D object layer and we have a 2D graphic layer. So we turn the 3D object layer off, and then it leaves behind a 2D graphic that will show up in plan. And then in elevation, section, and perspective, we turn that 2D graphic off and let that door, slab door show up in those drawings. So that is the idea behind a 2D graphic and a 3D object. Now, a door is definitely a very clear example of this, all right? But think about something like a toilet here. All right, so when I look at a toilet in plan, for instance, let's just drop this in. So we have our condoc toilet here that we just recently uploaded, and I'll just kind of eyeball that one. Now, if I look at this toilet in plan, yeah, it's gonna resemble a toilet in plan, but it's not a graphic symbol of a toilet in plan. It'll get close, but oftentimes when a 3D object is rendered in plan, there's too much geometry. The resulting 2D graphic is not clean and clear, and also because this toilet is, it looks good in 3D, it does have like a fair amount of geometry. So if I go to View, Hidden Geometry, you can see how much geometry that actually has. So I don't want to ask Layout to flatten this toilet every single time I render. So when that's the case, it's definitely a good idea to have a 3D object that represents your toilet and a simple 2D graphic line work. This is how we make layout really fast, all right? So, of course, your walls and anything that needs to just, be flattened in layout, do it. But be aware that when you are flattening super heavy 3D geometry, that could be a culprit for slowing things down. I think the number one kind of bomb I see in models is cars. When they get flattened in layout, that takes time. It's easy to just make a quick 2D graphic. Okay, so we've got our toilet, and then let's just add a few more pieces here. And I was gonna go back one level, and I hadn't quite finished setting this up, but we'll have this all ready for like our blog post on this. But we do have this April 9th Best Practices webinar collection. This is on the 3D Warehouse, and this is gonna have everything that I'm using here. So what I did is I went through and checked out like Kohler. So, I found some of these different objects that I needed. When you're searching on a 3D Warehouse, make sure that you search, like if I search for Kohler, check on this manufacturer model. That way you're only going to see models that were created by Kohler. All right, so you can easily get to them, and you know, you can search through their collections. You can look at their collection, and there's a pretty cool button here as well. This is the catalog browser. This allows you to search for something like a tub. I mean, it's pretty cool what they've done with the 3D warehouse. My complaints in the past with the 3D warehouse were that it was really hard to find good content because anyone could upload to it. But now with this kind of filter of manufacturer models, you can really sort out, you know, who has built this professionally, you know, this clean, professionally built model without just grabbing, you know, random tubs from anywhere and anyone. So that's where I found a lot of this stuff. All right, so I use primarily Kohler. And let me close out of this, and let's get back to, this is our collection here for this webinar specifically. All right, and then in this we do have like a tub, so I'm going to drop that tub in here like that. I'll use my rotate tool by 90, and let's see, did I catch the right side? No, I'm going to type in 270, enter, and spin that tub all the way around and move it straight up. And this one, it's got a, it's a little challenging to kind of snap to all these different rounded edges, but it is a nice clean model. All right, like that. And then let's just make sure that we've got this kind of sitting in place here. So I use my move tool, and I'm gonna hover on edge, click, lock my red, and then snap to this wall and click. And that way I know that that tub is, you know, perfectly positioned in there. So we're looking good, all right? So let's see now, the last part I wanted to add is our conduct vanity. So I'll click that, drop that guy in there, and let me see, let me try that again. Let's go conduct vanity, and I made the base point. It's kind of simple to snap over here in this corner like that. All right, so again, these are all Kohler parts. At least this is, I just kind of custom built this mirror. And what I want to show you now, well, first things first, we got to save. I'm going to hit Control S and save this to my desktop temp folder. I'm going to call this our bathroom, like that. Keep in mind that if you don't save, the autosave feature is not necessarily going to save you. So just like grouping early and often, you want to save early and often. So we've saved this project, we're in good shape. But what I want to show you is how to draft your own 2D graphic. So like, check out this tub. So if I turn on my hidden geometry, that's a lot of surfaces, all right? So like, I'm gonna double click in, and let's just see how many. Like if I look at, let's see, entity info, and let me see here. It's kind of dragging there. Select this, expand these. All right, so you can see that this is like 33,000 entities. That is a lot, all right? That is 40,000, all right? So all of the different edges and surfaces that compose this tub, 40,000 entities. Now, if you're gonna ask Layout to flatten this tub over and over again, you're asking it to flatten 40,000 pieces of geometry into a simple surface. What if you just drew the 2D graphic so that you don't have to wait around for that thing to flatten, all right? And this is no fault of Layout. It's just, you know, when you ask any 3D modeling program to flatten a complicated tub like this, it takes time, especially if you don't have the right machine too. So let's make it really lightweight, all right? So here's what we do. I double click into this component. I'm gonna select all right? Now this, this is already all self-contained, and I'm gonna assign the layer 3D object, all right? So now the 3D representation of my tub is set up on the 3D object layer. Now I'm gonna unhide the rest of my model. I'm gonna use my rectangle tool, and let's see, I'm gonna hover on this edge and hold shift. That constrains me on that edge. I can hover on this surface and click. So that way I start my rectangle right where I want it, you know? And then I'm gonna hover on this surface and hold shift. Now again, I'm constrained now on that surface. Because see what happens if I don't hold shift, it gets my rectangle going every different direction here. But if I hover here on face, hold shift, and then go over here and click on edge, look what happens. We've got a perfect rectangle down below, all right? And then I can move that. I usually put my 2D graphic kind of, oh, not there. Let's see. I usually put it like, floating in the middle of the tub here, like that. All right, so I'm going to double click on that and make it a group. Remember, we only assign layers to groups. So all edges, surfaces, all geometry belongs on layer 0. You put it in a group, and then you can assign a layer to a group. So we've got our 3D object, and now we've got our 2D graphic. All right, so now we need to actually draft a 2D graphic. So to do that, it's really easy. I can use my offset tool, say 3 inches. We can double click to do another offset. Maybe I scoot this over by say 6, and then I can use my line tool to draft, the different pieces. Keeping in mind that like if you already have these CAD symbols, it's super easy to reuse all that stuff. I'll use my circle tool, hover on the midpoint, click once to start, type 1.5, and now we've got our drain. Now, take a look at this. There are 47 entities that compose the 2D graphic. There are 40,000 entities. If I hit Control A, there are 40,000 entities that compose our 3D object. All right. So what that means is that when we send this to layout and when it gets flattened, we're flattening the 47 or whatever it was. So we are taking the load off of layout, making it a much lighter weight model, and that's what you want to keep in mind. All right. So we're let's see, we're in good shape here. We've got all these different entities in place. I'm going to unhide that, and now we need to assign some layers. So again, the huge benefit of Condoc is that we've given you the standards, we've given you the layers that you need to assign. So for instance, I can assign our ceilings like that, and I'm just going to hide these different pieces as we go. Or you could also, I guess this is a more logical way to do it, is to show our ceilings and turn off the ceilings layer. All right, and then I'm going to select our walls, and I'm going to assign the layer walls. All right, so we'll go to walls, and then we can turn off our walls layer. And we can turn off background. So I just kind of go down the list and check off all the different pieces. All right, we'll go to our floors and turn off our floors layer. Now, this is where it gets, well, we'll do one window. And let's see, one window, and we have one door. So we'll do that. And then I'm going to turn off windows and doors like that. Now, this is a good example of a collection of pieces, all right? So remember, we don't want to assign the fixtures layer to each one of these objects. And especially if we had like a huge office building with a ton of fixtures, we don't want to manage our layers like that. The best way to do this is to select all of these pieces, make one group, and then assign the layer to the group that holds the objects, all right? So that'll be fixtures. So now everything within this group is controlled by the fixtures layer. All right. Now check this out. Condoc system, I just click all on, and it turns all of my layers back on. You can easily turn all off, all on. You can see all these guys turning on and off over here. And then if you are working on multiple levels with interior, exterior, existing, new, we have all these different layer toggles. Definitely have tutorials on that too. So I can't live without this Condoc system. You guys, if you're not using it, definitely look into that, watch the tutorials, because this saves you a ton of time. My goal is to keep you out of the layers dialogue here. All right, I want to keep myself out of there too. That's why I make these tools. All right, cool. So I can hide this, and let's see. So we've got everything in place. This is a pretty simple bathroom, and now I need to run some of the Condoc tools. So the big idea is that the Condoc tools in general is a couple different pieces. It's the system, the tools, and the drawings. Now I showed you the system, all right? The condoc system is this condoc system extension up here, but it's also the standards, it's the layers, it's the way of grouping and nesting those pieces, assigning those layers. It's a way of using SketchUp that nets predictable results every single time. I'm telling you, that's what you need. I struggled with this for many years when I was first starting using SketchUp, and I've landed on this system, and I do it the same way every single time, and it works every time. So we've taken a look at the condoc system, and now we're going to work on the condoc tools. All right, so the condoc tools, what they do is they automate layers, styles, and scenes. They basically set up the drawings. All right, so I'm going to click on the plan generator, and you can see that this drawing set is specific to interior designers. So I'm going to go with like a construction plan, electrical, and we're going to make construction documents. So we're not going to do a presentation plan, but we will do a reflected ceiling plan. All right, and then this is a new construction, we're calling it, so we're all good on all the renovation stuff. Now, when I click Setup Project, watch what happens up here. I don't know if you've ever messed with layers, styles, and scenes, but it never goes this fast. It just pumped out every single scene with all the right layers checked on, with all the right styles applied. And let me show you what that means. I'm going to turn off the scene transition so that I can just kind of click through. So here's light. All right. Here's construction plan heavy. And then here's construction plan hatch A. And here's construction plan hatch B. If I take all 4 of these scenes and stack them on each other, it's going to create one complete drawing. Now, as I check these different scenes, it's super easy just to click the design button, and that bounces me right back out to this 3D area where I can work. All right, then we have like electrical plan, we have a reflected ceiling plan. Everything is all set up as far as our plans go. And keep in mind, you know, I've made these drawings for you. I provided them in the drawing set, but it's completely configurable. That was the big deal with Condoc 4. All right. Now, the other thing we need to do is shoot some interior elevations. That's probably the most important thing we need to do here. And while I'm working in this bathroom here, you know, and this is for any of you kitchen and bath designers, when you get into these like tight spaces, it's a good idea to click on the zoom tool and see the field of view down here. I can type in 90, enter, and just, you know, turn that up, you know, so that you can really like look around and see what you're working on. It's much easier. It's like that wide angle lens, but it makes it way easier to work in here. All right, so now the Condoc tools, because I loaded that interiors drawing set, my elevation tool has been programmed for an interior elevation. I activate the elevation tool and click on this elevation. Ask me, do I want like a sketchy design development, or do I want a hard-lined like CAD CD output? I'll go with the construction documents. And then I just kind of look over here, elevation, elevation, CD, like that. Look over here, and let's do, we'll do, let's see, yeah, we'll do, we're gonna do one elevation on this wall. So I'll go with elevation here and CD, and then let's do another elevation on this back wall, CD, like this. And then I'm gonna turn to my right and do one last one, and we have this entire bathroom elevated with just a couple clicks. I mean, you can see all my scenes coming down here. We're getting interior elevation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each one of these, in Condoc 4, we kind of fixed the logic that does the zoom extents. So all of that stuff is fixed. And as you go through here, you know, you can like check your drawings. That's what I always do. So like this one looks good. This one's cool. I think it was, you know, this one is like cutting through my toilet and my sink. So maybe I would just orbit into 3D. I would go to view and turn on my section planes. And at that point, you know, I can just select that active orange section plane and just put it where I need it. So, you know, I don't want it cutting through the toilet in a weird way. I want to, you know, cut the tub and the window. That's cool. Looks good to me. And then click to go back. So we're in good shape. I think one other thing I'm going to do here is we'll just soften. Let's see, hide. All right, so we're good. We will go to design, and I'm going to save this. And so we have all of our condoc drawings set up, and now we have all of our condoc tools, we ran those, and now we're ready for our condoc export, which compiles all of these scenes into drawings. So I click on our export, and we'll just pick all of these guys, and let's set our plans to be at 1/2 inch, like this, and we'll do our interior elevations at 1/4 inch. I'm gonna click on send to layout. All right. Now, what this is doing is, everything that was, all of the data that was loaded into that drawing set, that interiors drawing set that I chose at the beginning, that is telling Condoc how to stack these viewports. It's also telling layout what the line weights are, what the render settings are, what the scale is. I mean, everything is just completely thought out for you. So you can just load this up and get started, but you can always configure it and make it whatever you want. So I just want you to know I've thought it through, put a lot of thought and care into making this, but it's configurable. You can make it do whatever you want. That's all the time it took, and now here we are. So I'm going to start a new document. So you can go to File, New, or Control N, and then we'll go to My Templates. Just a heads up, when you install Condoc, when you install that RBZ in SketchUp, it dumps these templates into your layout files. So when you start layout, you can always see these different Condoc templates. And we have two different types. We have construction documents and we have presentation. So I'm going to go with 18 by 24 construction documents. And then I'm going to click on this drop down here and find my Condoc drawing scrapbook. And now you can see that all of my drawings have been sent over to layout. And when I drop that in here, you can see that everything is in place. I can just kind of scoot this stuff around. I always kind of like trim up the viewports, but check it out. I've got my 2D graphic of the tub, 2D graphic of the toilet, but I didn't really do that for the sink. So maybe we'll make some revisions in a moment. I'll go back and fix that. And then let's just add the rest of our drawings. These plans are coming in at 1/2 inch scale. And let's go to the next. And this is our reflected ceiling plan. All right, and so this one I do want to kind of scoot it around. I'm holding Alt. That's going to scale about the center point. So nice shortcut to doing, rather than doing like 4 different scale commands. All right, and then let's go to the next. Now here's all of our interior elevations. All right, so we'll drag these guys onto the page. So for these, I'm just going to go and drag each one of them on here, and I'm going to be kind of loose with how I'm doing this. All right, so 3, 4, and then 5. All right, so we drag all these drawings in here. I'm going to show you a shortcut, a little trick. I'm going to select all of these guys, right click, and we're going to align these vertically and align them horizontally, like that. I'm going to then make sure I've got them all selected, do one scale command, like that, and that's going to get them all taken care of in one shot. And then we're going to scoot them and arrange them on the page. I'll show you a pretty cool command that helps with that. So I'll scoot this over here, take that top one to the end, select them all, right click, and choose space horizontally. Just like that, laid out like a deck of cards, huh? All right, we're in good shape. So we've got all of our drawings in here. And then at this point, what I usually do is I would go back to my Condoc annotations, and then on this front page we have all of our different palettes. All right, so if I want to draw a line, I can draw a line, but see, look where I'm at right now, it's on this gray stroke. As I'm drawing the line, I can come over here and see how my cursor turns into an eyedropper. I can do a fine line, I can do a red line, or I can go with like a nice thick wide line. All right, so that's what we're gonna do, is just I'll just draw a line over here, kind of wide, and something like this, and then we'll just go on and do let's see, our object snap needs to be turned on, so like that. And so you just start to like kind of draw on top of these viewports to dial them up and make them look the way you want them to look. All right, and so we're good there and good here. All right, now if I want to add a dimension on here, I can go to my dimension tool, and so these drawings are at 1/4 inch. You can see I have all of my dimensions set up. I'll do 1/4 inch, and we're going to go from here to our bottom there. And look, the dimension's on the inside. So I might go over here and click on this 1/4 inch because that puts it to the outside. My goal in layout is to keep you out of these inspectors. You know, I don't ever want to have to like go find my dimension style and then, you know, fiddle with these buttons. I just want to like, you know, have a palette and just click on things. All right, click to place it, and then I can just double click, and that's going to continue my string of dimensions. So it's pretty quick and easy to throw down some dimensions, get these plans worked out. You know, same thing here, like if I'm drawing from here to here, and then, you know, my dimensions on the bottom, I would just go down here and say 1/4 inch like that, like this, and double click, and now we've got it. So this is where, you know, really knowing all of these little tricks in layout that keep you out of the inspectors. If you're clicking around in the inspectors, you're just bogging down. You're wasting time, you're straining your eyes, you're hunting and pecking. It's just tough. You know, stick with the Condoc annotation scrapbook. That one is, that's a huge help, and it can be customized. All you have to do is click the edit button. You can make it whatever you want. All right, but let's talk about revisions, because revisions are a big thing. And I mentioned one thing I wanted to change was, you know, I don't like the way that this sink is showing up. Also, I really want to see like an arch over the bathtub. All right. And so, and that's, and then our reflected ceiling plan, we're going to see that arch kind of come across here, and then I'm going to do like a tray ceiling on this side, just to kind of show how one quick change and one reload gets all of our drawings whipped into shape. So I hop back into SketchUp, and let's get to work. I'm going to hide my ceiling, and I need to make another wall. All right, so I'm going to just make a copy of this guy like that. I'm going to pull it across and tap Control. And then maybe I'll make a copy of this straight up on the blue like that, and then make a copy of this straight down again on the blue by 12 inches. Using my arc tool, I can go from point to point and then snap there and then clean this thing up. Using my push-pull tool, I'll just push that right through and clean up the resulting lines there. So we're in good shape. All right, let's back out of that. Unhide my ceiling. Now you can see that we have like this ceiling kind of overlaps here. So like this ceiling should be different than, you know, these two should be separated. So we'll group and delete that. This one, I'm gonna offset by say 12 inches and then pull this up by say 4, we'll do 6. All right, so now we have like a little bit more of an interesting ceiling happening, and we can kind of look in there and see what's going on. Pretty cool, and there we go. All right, and then the last part is to zoom over here and check this out. This is a nice tip. If you've ever like imported CAD drawings, you can kind of poach the symbols out of there. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock this background drawing, and I'm going to copy this symbol. So Control C, and then I'm going to go in here and double click into my fixtures. All right. So then all of this stuff, I'm going to select all, group it, and assign it to my 3D object layer. And then I'm going to do a paste in place. Paste in place is critical. It drops that symbol right back where it was. It's already selected, so I can assign the layer 2D graphic. Cool? All right. So I think we're good. You know, I've made all those different changes. You know, you can look down, you can see what's happening here. And I'm just going to hit File, Save, and then we're going to hop over into Layout. And what I want you to look for here is I'm going to leave it kind of in a view like this, and we're going to see our reflected ceiling plan update. So we're going to see all that stuff work out. We're going to see our 2D graphic change. We're going to see an arch appear over the tub. So with one reload, we'll go to Document Setup. That's File, Document Setup, References. And here you can see my bathroom's out of date. Let me scoot this. Now, when I hit Update, here's where the magic happens. So you're thinking and designing in 3D. You're building a 3D model, and your 2D drawings, your entire set of drawings, is a product of that 3D model. So render away. There it is. There's our ceiling. There's our 2D graphic. There's our arch. Everything just starts falling into place. How nice is that? So, okay. So that was kind of a rapid fire, but rest assured, we do have tutorials. that outline all of this. And, we'll probably turn this one into a tutorial too. This is a nice, easy project to get started on. But when it comes to kitchen and bath design, interior design, residential architecture, commercial architecture, retail design, it doesn't matter. Condoc can be configured to automate anyone's drawings and set up your standards. So keep that in mind and definitely give it a try. We have a 7-day trial. So if you go to condoctools.com and sign up for our 7-day trial, when you install Condoc, you get all these resources I was showing you. You get our annotations, you get our title blocks. Those are yours to keep. Give it a shot. Get in there, get the trial. It's a 7-day trial. And then we do offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. I promise this will change the way that you work. This is a better way to design. It's way faster than hand drafting. It's far beyond the functionality, the digital benefits of CAD, but it falls short of that complexity of 3D BIM. So please give it a shot and be in touch. I really appreciate you guys tuning in today. And so we'll close the webinar with that, and then I'm gonna hop over into the chat panel and see if I can answer some questions. Thank you.